Last October, I had the opportunity to visit Boston, Massachusetts. As someone born in New York City, I've always looked down my nose at Boston. Yankees over Red Sox, eh? But I found Boston a very nice city, full of polite and friendly people. I spent several days doing research in the Copley Public Library, which is a wonderful facility, almost on par with the British Library. Naturally, I was curious as to the history of capital punishment in Massachusetts. And here's what I found. Massachusetts executed some 351 people between 1630 and 1947. This surprised me as, given its long history and the presence of a big city like Boston, I thought Massachusetts would probably have staged more executions. The first execution in Massachusetts took place on September the 30th, 1630, when John Billington, aged 49, was hanged at Plymouth Colony for the murder of John Newcomen, an enemy he caught raiding his hunting traps. The Billington family were apparently the troublemakers of Plymouth Colony. In 1636, John's wife Eleanor was put in the stocks and whipped for slander. Wow. Among those hanged in early Massachusetts were the victims of the Salem witch hysteria, which saw 5 men and 14 women hanged for witchcraft between 1692 and 1693. The last use of the death penalty in Massachusetts was the electric chair executions of 2 gangsters, Philip Bellino and Edward Gertson, who were electrocuted on May the 9th, 1947, for the 1945 murder of a partner in crime, one Robert Tex Williams, an ex-Marine. Perhaps the most famous capital case in Massachusetts history is the electric chair executions of Italian anarchists Sacco and Vanzetti. Sacco and Vanzetti on August the 23rd, 1927. The pair had been convicted of the murders of Alessandro Baradelli and Frederick Parmenter during an April 15th, 1920 payroll holdup at Braintree, Massachusetts. The case became a cause célèbre, with many convinced of the pair's innocence and large protests against the execution held around the world. The question of Sacco and Vanzetti's guilt or innocence is too complicated for a short video. At least for this short video, but let me know in the comments if you would like me to explore the case in a separate upload. 4 years after the execution of Bellino and Gertson, i.e. 1951, Massachusetts changed its laws so that murder no longer carried an automatic death sentence, except in cases of homicide involving rape or attempted rape. Then, in 1984, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts ruled the death penalty unconstitutional, ending capital punishment in the state. There has never been another execution in Massachusetts since. Will there be another? Maybe. Currently, Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, and I apologize right now for any mispronunciations. Tsarnaev is under a federal death sentence. And yes, in America, the federal government can impose the death penalty. And if he is eventually executed, he will then have the dubious honor of being the last person put to death in Massachusetts. He was one of only 3 men whose federal death sentence was not commuted by Joe Biden during his final days in office. If this is your first visit to the gallows, please consider subscribing. The focus of this channel is on Canadian executions, but I am willing to look at cases from other jurisdictions. If you live in the U.S. and would like to see your state profiled, let me know in the comments below. And remember, as my old Scotch granny used to say, if you're born to hang, you'll never be shot. Cheers.